Hey, what's up, my tricksters? I will remind you guys, if you want to support the channel, we have merch. You guys check out my Teespring. I got some spicy new t-shirts featuring El Rainbow Neos, Absolute Zero, and Kaiba / Blue Eyes. Check those out. They're fun. There's a little bit of something for everybody. And if you guys want to give me some ideas for future merch, I would very much appreciate it. Drop it in the comments below. Now, we're going to be talking about Banlist stuff today, and this video was inspired by House of Champs. He did his bad takes on it, and I was like, well, it's Banlist season, so it's kind of time to talk about it. So I'm going to talk about some of the stuff he brought up. I'm not going to talk about everything he brought up. You should go check out his video if you want more on that. I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that I've seen mixed in with some of the stuff that I know he's seen. You know, just kind of throw more of the stuff that I've seen in there. It's just some of that stuff overlaps, etc. You know, just gotta let you guys know where I see some of this stuff. So let's go ahead and start talking about Banlist stuff, because we do have a ban list coming up. Before we get into it, I do think Konami's going to go very minimalist. I don't think that Konami's going to do too much, to be honest. As much as there's a lot that I think that should be done, Konami's not going to do it. We already know. Ya boy's not going to be impressed with the ban list. I rarely am, if we're being honest. But that's alright, that's alright. The first thing we're going to talk about is, we got to talk about some of the bigger decks, and that is Dragon Link. So, Dragon Link is the big boss monster in the room, basically, when it comes to any tournament that we've been having lately. This deck is just the bane of everyone's existence, and a lot of players are calling for LP to go. I'm of the mindset, and I've also seen people like John in John's video, he mentions Quick Launch, but he also brings up Striker Dragon, and that's actually where I'm kind of like, well, that seems like a good idea. Let's get rid of that card. Quick Launch, I see what people are going for. They want to limit it, you know, like how E-Telly is limited. Although I think E-Telly is another card that should come back, but that's a discussion for another day. About all the cards. We're gonna mention some cards I think could come back right now, but the list of all the cards that I think could come back is a video for another day. But yeah, I'm also not against Guard Dragon LP going away. I just, you know, I don't like it when cheap cards, or cheap cards at the time of their printing go away. But that's just, you know, that's the budget player in me, as you guys know. But yeah, if Guard Dragon's got to get some kind of hit, there's just too much going on there, and they're very hand trap resistant, and it's and that board of negates is ridiculous. So yeah, it's time for this deck to go. The next deck we're going to be talking about is Invoke Shadows and its level of variance. A lot of people want to see Alistair the Invoker go. I don't think Alistair or even the Invoked engine is even remotely a problem at all, to be honest with you. I think people are just tired of seeing it, because it's basically a normal summon for decks that don't have a normal summon, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the card that does need to go is Shaddoll Schism here, although I don't think that Konami's going to touch this deck at all, to be brutally honest. I do think this is the card that needs to go. The Trap card is the problem, because the Trap card is basically, well, it's being not only setting up floodgates in the opponent's turn, but it's also setting up, you know, because basically what they're doing is they're making window on your turn, so you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh, and that's just bad Yu-Gi-Oh, not fun at all. And I think that realistically, and this alt card also doubles as spot removal, and I don't think that's okay. So the appropriate thing to do is just get rid of the Trap card. It's searchable. And then it also makes the Shadolls mesh less with the Dogmatica package, which is another thing I've been seeing a lot of people wanting to do to hit this deck, but I just am like, I don't foresee that. I think Konami will reprint the Dogmatica stuff cheaper for more people to get a hold of long before they ever plan on even touching it, to be honest. So you guys should get used to seeing Dogmatica for a while, if you want me to be brutally honest. And we also have to talk about the big elephant in the big prehistoric elephant in the room. Gotta make a joke there. We gotta talk about Dinosaurs. A lot of players are gonna hate me for this, because I don't think this deck should get hit at all, for a variety of reasons, and I also don't think it will get hit. But I am going to talk about these are all the 4 cards that I have seen that a lot of players are calling for it to get hit. Of course, I'm a dinosaur player, so they're gonna be like, "You're biased," even though I make videos teaching you guys how to play outplay the deck. You're welcome. Stop being lazy and learn. Anyway, basically, they're like, "Oh, Misk." It's like the one defensive card, and then of course you have Lost World, which is another one I've been seeing people calling for, which is kind of an odd one to pick because I've seen a lot of older, like, competitive dinosaur decks don't even look at Lost World. And here's the thing. Calling for dinosaur hits is just laughable anyway because this card's going to get reprinted. And also, if you guys don't know, we have Scrap Raptor, which, truth be told, hitting this deck either way, it's just not going to hurt. You're still going to have to put up with dinosaurs. For the players out there who hate this deck, who want dinosaurs to go, I have some bad news for you. It's not going to happen. We have Armador and Archosaur here that is about to, and that's the reason why it's on the screen, is because this card is going to get reprinted. That's just what's going to happen. Eminadorn is going to get reprinted, and it's likely it's going to get reprinted in the Megatins, which basically means even if we do what a lot of some of the players are calling for, where we limit Oviraptor, that's what the mass majority is, and I'll get to more about it in a minute. But most people are just calling for the limit of Oviraptor, or the limit of Miscellaneousaurus, and the limit of Fossil Dig. Well, Konami's not going to hit the deck that hard, especially Konami America, because basically we've been ignoring the OCG ban list for forever now, and their ban list is starting to match ours more with this deck. So I don't foresee that happening. And Archosaur is literally the same functioning card, essentially, as Oviraptor. So even if they limit Oviraptor, you're still gonna see this deck. So I don't know why you're complaining about it. It's not going anywhere for a while. It's just not going extinct. Anyway, Miscellaneousaurus go to 1. I mean, like, it's not. I don't think it's gonna happen. The OCG doesn't have it at 1. The best that you can hope for is OV to 1 and Fossil Dig to 2, but I think that Konami TCG is not even going to bother, to be honest with you. That's really what I think. And I don't think Konami TCG is going to even look at this deck. And frankly, I think they're right on this one, because this deck is always, like, in third place. Like, yes, there are some, it's been doing okay lately, but that's just because the players want to play other things than Dragon Link, because now, just because the deck is good doesn't mean necessarily it's interesting. So that is, that's just what's going to happen. It's not going to happen. You're just wasting your breath when getting mad about it. The next deck well, I guess I gave it away. The next thing that we're going to be talking about is the Dragon Rulers. This has been a very popular thing. A lot of people are talking about, should the Dragon Rulers come off the list? And my short answer is yes, because the reason why they were even banned in the first place was so that the Dark Matter Dragon Ruler deck didn't just take over the meta at the time. And now that card is gone, it's time to give the look. And here's the thing. Giving back the Dragon Rulers and hitting the Guard Dragon Link deck is a great idea. And here's the reason why I'm going to tell you that. Because, one, these guys don't really mesh well with the old school Dragon Link. A lot of those either require the rockets, or they require, they require small dragons. And these guys are big dragons, so these guys, they're not going to mesh well. And there's nothing wrong with having a dragon deck in the format, and I think Dragon Rulers actually have a lot more holes in the armor, so to speak. Like, everything that you, like, for example, like, the cool thing about the Dragon Rulers is, especially because we have things like Artifact Lancia, which didn't really exist back in during that time. At least I don't think it did. It might have. I just don't remember anyone playing it against me. So, I think back then, people played, like, Necro Valley. That was their screw you to Dragon Rulers back then. But we have things like Artifact Lancia now, and we have, like, tons of negation. I honestly think all three of them could come back, all four of them could be back at 1 with their babies, and it wouldn't be a problem. Especially in the grand scope of the things we have now that didn't exist when these guys were running amok. We also don't have to worry about them being as splashed in something like Lightsworn anymore, because without Eclipse Wyvern, that's just not a viable strategy. I know people are afraid of Redox for a Monster Reborn effect, which I'm just kind of like, there's a lot of decks out there that have, like, multiple Monster Reborns. I don't think this would make any difference. Water decks, Okay, but the problem with the water decks, realistically, is the hand looping. That's the problem with that, not the making giant boards with big monsters. And then Blaster is considered the weakest one effect-wise. He's just a big fire dragon, which personally is my favorite monster. So, you know, Konami, give me back my favorite monster, you bastards. That's right, I said it. Yes, Blaster, Dragon Ruler of Infernos is my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh monster above them all. Now you know. So yes, I'm very pro. Bring back the Dragon Rulers. They're fun, they're cool, they look cool. It's just nostalgia for me. So I'm team bring back the Dragon Rulers and just ban all the other problems. Alright, so the next thing we're going to talk about, since we're on the subject of cards to get unbanned, we are going to be talking about these 5 cards. Thunder Dragon, Colossus, Fairy Tail Snow, Yatagarasu, Heavy Metal's Electromite, and Maxi. Some of these cards are going to not shock you guys. I actually am not against Thunder Dragon Colossus coming back, but if they do that, we're gonna have to get rid of that Nemesis monster, the wind one that's a thunder monster. This name I can't remember, but I'm not against that idea because frankly nobody's playing the Nemesis stuff anyway. So if they want to get rid of the techable thunder monster, and that is you know, so people will stop playing, so people won't just throw Thunder Dragon Colossus in everything like they do with Dragoon, which I think that is a problem. You know, I'm okay with like 5 or 6 decks having the ability to use a powerful card like Thunder Dragon Colossus or Dragoon. What I'm not okay with is every deck being able to do it, so I understand that. And then you have Fairy Tail Snow. This card is only going to benefit, I want to say, about 4 or 5 decks that I can think of off the top of my head, like Lightsworn variants, and Grand Maju variants, and Thunder Dragons, or well, I would say 4 or 5, but I'm sure there's more. And Chaos decks maybe. There you go. There's 4 decks that basically could have used Fairy Tail Snow. But if they leave it at 1, I don't think it's that bad because it's not going to be a very consistent card. I mean, yeah, there are going to be ways to get to it, but it's not going to be like the end all be all for those decks. Yatagarasu. This could be. I'm going to have an unpopular opinion about this card. I think this card needs to stay gone, mostly just because I know John's like, yes, I want it to stay gone too, but he jokingly makes it about having one that's been graded or whatever. In my case, I want it gone because to stay gone because I really feel like, I know it's not as good as it used to be, but I still feel like there's going to be some deck that's going to like could you imagine getting your board wiped from like a dinosaur deck, and then like me finding a way to make this my normal summon, poke you for 200, then you can't draw, and you're sitting there with like no way to like get over an Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, which is going to get rid of any monster you would defend with, just for me to poke you with this fiend that looks like a bird. Yeah, now you guys are seeing it. And I'm not even talking about like some kind of nerfed dinosaur deck too. Like I'm talking about like some alternate reality where the American TCG Konami goes, okay, we're gonna get rid of Oviraptor and get rid of Fossil Dig. You're still gonna see some Ultimate Conductor Tyranno Turbo shenanigans, and this thing being in there somewhere, and or some other deck will do it. You get what I'm saying? I'm just kind of like, Yana can stay gone. Maybe that may just be like existential dread from back in the day talking, but still, you guys get where I'm getting at. Heavy Metal Foes Electromite. This card I think should come back. Pendulums need something. If you're not going to give them back Skullcrobat, you need to give them back this. This card benefits more than just, it just kind of benefits all Pendulums. Give them their one decent generic extra deck monster. I think it's fine. I think there are other cards that you can ban that are involving Pendulums that are far more problematic, and this card can stay. And lastly, Maxi. I flip-flop with Maxi. Part of me wants it back, part of me wants it to stay gone, and I'm also of the opinion that it can be a 1 and not a problem. But Konami doesn't agree with me, and most player base don't agree with me. Like, John looks at me and he probably thinks I'm fucking crazy because I'm like, no, Maxi could be back at 1. Which I'm okay with. I am okay with luck-sacky cards, because then, my inner casual goes, well, then I don't have to count it, because what's the odds that it happened? That's a joke, but you get the point. Yeah, I don't know. Maxi, I'm okay with it being gone. I'm also would be okay with it being back. I'm indifferent towards Maxi. Next thing we're gonna be talking about is some spells that I think and traps that need to get moved, that could move. Because John mentions he's been seeing people wanting Regeki at 3. I've also been seeing that myself, and I gotta say, I'm not against the idea, because Lightning Storms at 3, Dark Holes at 3, and nobody's playing them in mass except, like, I did some weird Kaiju deck that did it, but it's not the end-all be-all in those decks either. Called by the Grave. I want this card back at 3, frankly, but that's just because I hate hand traps with a T. You know what I mean? And also, if Called by the Grave was a 3, I think people wouldn't complain as much about Miscellaneousaurus, just to be brutally honest. And then Red Reboot, this is another card that I am like, you know what I mean? Like, part of me wants to have it Red Reboot at 3 because I really, really don't like back row based decks, like Altergeist and Guru. I'm just kind of like, oh, back row bitch. That's all I think of when I'm up against those decks. Sorry if you're one of those players, but if I'm on Edo Pro and I see you play that, that's literally all I think. I'm like, you're just a bitch. I'm sure you're probably all nice guys and not really, not really, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it's annoying. But, so, I mean, but then also, I also play some back row based decks too, like, even as a casual person who's also a budget player, like, I play Dark Magician for funsies. So, like, actual Dark Magician decks that are budget, and I'm just sitting there like, well, I don't want to get rebooted until I can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! At all, either, so I don't know. I think I'm just going to stick it in the same category as Maxi for me. It can go, it can stay. I'm indifferent towards it. It's not like there isn't other options to fight back row based decks, like, Twin Twisters, Harpy's Feather Duster, for my casual self, Dark Magic Attack, etc. There's a list of these cards that are good, so that's all that are good for back row cards. Next thing we're going to be talking about is just the cards that I personally want to see hit some. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. Personally, that I want to see moved around on the list. I very much am in the camp that Dragoon is a problem, and I think, and I know Konami's not. Out of all these cards, Dragoon's probably the most likely one to ever get touched by Konami because, there's always a shot. It will eventually become a problem, and I imagine as soon as Dragon Link is moved out of the way, this will be one of the next big problems is Dragoon Turbo. But I don't like Dragoon. I think I'm very much in the camp of I'm tired of seeing it in everything. I have seen Dragoon in alien decks on Edo Pro. See fucking everything. And then, no offense to the Death Machine, brother, but he wants me to do like an Eldritch Dragoon deck, and I'm just like, no, God. Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it at all. I've also seen like Mystic Mind decks do it, and speaking of that, I mean, Mystic Mind's another card I think should get limited or banned. It doesn't promote good play of the game at all. And I don't think that it's an okay thing to have in the game at all. And then another one that I personally want gone, obviously, is Helga Fibrax, as you guys can see. But the reason I want Helga Fibrax gone is more because of more of the collateral damage surrounding the card, more than the card itself. Like, Helga Fibrax, in my opinion, doesn't really do anything that's really dangerous. But the problem is that because Helga Fibrax exists, there's a lot of cool old cards that we as Yu-Gi-Oh players don't get to play with anymore because this card exists. We can't play with Global, we can't play with Jet Synchron, we can't play with Destrudo, and, I mean, Gofu was a card that was banned because everyone thought this card was coming here, and so there's an entire list of cards that are on the ban list that actually aren't threatening cards, but they're banned because of this piece of crap. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. Isolde doesn't have this problem. Like, we don't have a list of special summonable warriors that are banned because Isolde exists. But we got a list of tuners that are fucking gone because of Helga Fibrax. Oh, so it's like, so I'm very much like, let's just get rid of Helga Fibrax and give back all these tuners back to the decks that they belong to. And I know I'm going to be a minority in that camp. And then, of course, another thing I'm going to be a minority with is Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. I hate this card. I hate Ash Blossom. And here's the big reason why I don't like Ash Blossom. Besides the fact that I feel like I have to play it, like it's in my Dinosaur deck, and I have to play this card, is what I feel like. And I don't like it that anything that's like, you have to play this, and like everything, or your deck just sucks, or it's subpar, and I don't enjoy that feeling, that, you know what I mean? And so it's like, I feel like it stifles my creativity as a Yu-Gi-Oh player. And then there's this other part of it that this card very much feels like it is a card designed to keep the lower tier decks down even further. Like, for example, if you are playing, let's say, if I'm playing Dinosaurs, right? Or better yet, better example. Let's say I'm gonna have 2 dragon decks, right? If I choose to play Blue Eyes and one day, and I choose to play Dragon Link another, right? They're both dragon decks, and Blue Eyes is not particularly good, right? At least to most players. Most players in the game, if they are up against like a pure Blue Eyes deck, they're just kind of like, okay. Because they know they can drop something like Ash Blossom at the right time and just completely cripple the deck if they didn't draw well, or if they didn't, you know, ditch the right card off a melody. You know, they know a well-timed Ash Blossom literally will kill a lower tier deck, and most players know this. This is the why. But if you try to Ash Blossom against a Dragon Link deck, that deck just kind of goes, okay. Now let me play my other card that starts all my combos. You know what I mean? It's like, so to me, it feels like there's just no real way to win in this scenario. Like, I know that Konami is never going to get rid of Ash Blossom. I really feel like that deep down, that Ash Blossom is never going to be at risk on the ban list. It's just a card that I think should go away because, frankly, it feels to me like it is a meta cards don't care about it, but everything that isn't meta is so severely hurt by this card, you know. So it's just, I don't know, that's just the way it's been. That's been my experience, and I play a lot of crazy decks. Like, I mean, I've played things like Assault Mode, you know, for funsies as an example, and like that's an example of a deck that has this really cool boss monster, but a single Ash Blossom can just kill it, like, just gone. You know, so it's very much like, anyway, so that's my ban list video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What are the cards that you want to hope change around this ban list? How much do you think Konami's actually going to make any changes? Like I said at the beginning of the video, I think Konami's going to make this a very minimal list. We're not going to see too many changes. I honestly think that Dragon Link is like the only deck that's really on the chopping block, and the rest of it might be, you know, at most I think Konami might take some stuff off, and then that's it. So that's what I honestly think, and I want to hear what you guys have to say, so leave a comment below. If you're new to the Ben 10,000 of yugioh channel, do me a solid and consider hitting that subscribe button, and drop me one of these, because I will turn you into a Karibo. I'll do it. All jokes aside, guys, you have a good one, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.